Hey, hockey fans, and welcome back to another edition of Puck My Life. We're back, baby. We're back. And alongside me, my co-host Cody. Cody, how you been, man? It's been a little while.
It's been a while, but I'm glad to be back here on Puck My Life, talking about some hockey and a game we went to a little while back. So glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you back. I know we've struggled a little bit in getting these game experiences up, but we are, with the help of the summertime and seasons ending and stuff like that, we are going to try to get back into the swing of things. We have so much to catch up on. It's unreal. So the best way to do that is to chip it away one game experience at a time. And tonight we are going to talk about our game experience in Toronto, watching the Toronto Marlies of the AHL. So the Toronto Marlies play at Coca-Cola Coliseum, and for me in my area, it's 4 hours, 19 minutes, 266 miles, which really, in all honesty, isn't too bad. I mean, if you look at this map from the area that I live to where this is located in Canada, there are so many teams from here to there to see. So it's enough content, honestly, for a couple years if we were
Yeah,
just to hit up just that section. So and this was a trip that we were not planning at all, and it kind of just happened out of nowhere. My dad was redoing the roof on his house and garage, and came up one square short of these specialty single shingles, and so he called the guy and said, "Hey, if I ship them over to you, it's going to cost about $300-400 just in shipping." So we're like, okay. Well, I went to my dad and talked to him. I said, "Hey, if you pay our gas and you pay our bridge tolls," I said, "Cody and I will go over there, pick them up, but we're going to go see a couple hockey games in the meantime." So, and that's what we did. And if you look at the map here where it shoots down and it says the 5 hours and 35 minutes, we actually went that way back through
hmm
Detroit because we stopped the next night and watched the Windsor Spitfires, which that video will be coming out soon. So yeah, not too bad. 4 hours, 19 minutes, 266 miles for us to go to Coca-Cola Coliseum to see the Marlies. So this is Coca-Cola Coliseum. I had no idea what to expect. When we were driving into Toronto, the traffic is horrible. Cody can attest to that.
yeah,
We've always had some problems around Toronto. Even though the 407 is expensive, it's almost worth the to
oh,
pay that
totally.
to avoid the headache.
The
But
peace of mind.
yeah, the peace of mind. But Cody, what were you expecting when we put in the GPS that we're going to Coca-Cola Coliseum? I mean, did you expect us to roll up on it and to look like this?
I'd seen it a couple times before from the highway. I think some other trips we'd passed through Toronto. A number of years ago when we went to that Leafs game. The if I remember correctly, kind of the highway sits up here, and you kind of can look down almost onto the arena. So I knew, just from driving by, that was the only exposure I had to it, and so I knew it was, one of those older brick barns. And that's about all I knew. Going into it, I was almost completely blind. So I mean, definitely, it's definitely from a foregone era, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and there is something special about these old barns. I've been seeing people posting about some other old ones that are going to be closing up soon. So, if you do live next to one of these historic barns, and you haven't been there yet, go and check them out before they're gone, because eventually these are all going to get replaced. So, walking up to the West Annex, I wasn't sure what we were walking into. Like we've been to a few different arenas that have been modified from, like, you know they host football games, so they host whatever. It's just like everything in between. But I think this one was like a rodeo or some kind of stockyards or
Yeah,
something. There's like
I think it was part of the
stables and
old Toronto like fairgrounds. Yeah, because I know they had like pictures from like the 1920s in there of like show horses and ponies like trotting around, and like, yeah, it's definitely seen its fair share of events of all different kinds there. That I know.
yeah, like when we first walked in through those doors of the West Annex. I mean, these really old, like, wooden doors that were going through there, and then all the pictures of what was going on in there. The concourse, kind of small. I love that it was made out of that old brick. It looked really cool, and it had like a really cool vintage feel, but then they kind of modernized it a little bit.
Mhm.
There was some nice touches all the way around. I really did like this building, and
Yeah.
unfortunately that night,
Oh, go back. You can kind of see that picture of a little bit there on the wall there. You can see that picture of them doing a horse and pony show there in like the 20s.
yeah, and I'm sure they probably had the circus and everything like that in there. So it's a really cool multi-purpose building that they had, and this was the inside. I thought this was a gorgeous building. I loved it. The only thing that was odd for us is that we were thinking, oh, we're going to a game in Toronto. It's going to be packed with fans. That was not the case. I
Anything
mean,
but the case.
yeah, I was thoroughly shocked. Even though I think we went kind of like on a Thursday or Friday, it's like still like where is everybody? Like there was so much traffic on the expressway, and there's so many people that live in and around the downtown Toronto area. It's like where is everybody? Like nobody cares. Everybody just cares about the Maple Leafs. Nobody wants to go over and see the Marlies. So it was in that aspect, it was kind of disappointing, but it's. I'm sure we just kind of went on an off night, and they were the other thing that got me too is that they were playing Belleville Senators, so their fan base isn't
Rivalry.
too far away. So it's like there wasn't really many of their fans there either. So you would have thought that would have drove in some people to this, but unfortunately, that was not the case. So first thing we like to talk about when we go over these experiences from a hockey fan perspective, whatever you want to call it, is the parking. So when you roll up on there, as you can see here, there is a few parking lots around there. There's a bus parking lot that you're not supposed to go to. So we just parked in this one that just says parking, and we went into the south main entrance. And you can see right down the street is the soccer field. And so there's a lot of stuff there, and that's what Cody said. There's the expressway. I mean, yeah, the expressway goes right above it, and you can see next to it. But yeah, unfortunately, there was just not many people there that night. But the parking is nice and close. It was, I think, $15 Canadian to park there for that night. So not too bad. But yeah,
And they had public transit that went right there too. Because remember, there are bus stops. You can see the train stop right there. So, I mean, I don't know the public transit in Toronto terribly well, but I imagine if you could, it's got to be somewhat simple to get there. I would think, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm don't know. So
yeah. So if anybody knows anything more about that, let us know in the comments. All right. Next up is tickets. So this was just for a random game. I just pulled up just to see what things were going for. Pretty cheap to go see these guys. I mean, honestly, I think of all the AHL teams that we've seen, this has probably got to be the cheapest AHL ticket I've seen. I mean, you can see the breakdown there. It's $10 Canadian for the ticket, and then the fees was $4.25. So you're all in like $15 Canadian, which is right around 10 to 12 bucks US. So to be able to go see the Toronto Marlies, and this was a rivalry game too. I mean, another Canadian inter-Canadian rivalry where they're playing the Laval Rockets. So yeah, and you can see all these sections were dark blue, meaning that there's a ton of seats in there. So yeah, if you get
too.
yeah, I mean, you saw the arena. I mean, there wasn't really any obstructions that I noticed. So I don't know. If you're a Toronto Marlies fan, let us know what's going on with the team. Is there just not a lot of hype around these guys? Like I don't know. Where me and Cody are located, we don't really hear a lot about them, and we don't really follow like Toronto hockey that much. But let us know in the comments, like what's the deal? Is like, were we just there for an off night, or is that a standard practice now? Just nobody goes and checks them out. I don't know. Let us know. All right, next up is the merch. So they actually had a pretty good merch selection, not gonna lie. This was their little team store, and they had a good range of jerseys. They had some like the practice style jerseys. A lot of the stuff was Adidas and CCM, which is what me and Cody like to see. No Fanatics. Get the Fanatics out of there. We don't want it. We know it's coming, but we don't want it. And yeah, just a really good merch. The thing I didn't like about it is that all of this apparel was behind the counter, so you couldn't really look through. You had to ask somebody. So that was a little frustrating. But they had a good selection of toques. You know, they had the mascot there. I think it's cool when they do the plush for the
Oh yeah.
mascots. And then you want to talk about this stuff, Cody? The pucks and the
Yeah,
what
they
we
had
got
a
here? The
lot of kind
barbecue
of
set.
cool memorabilia stuff because you can see they had. I'm assuming those are broken sticks from play that they then, turned into like grill utensils or ice scrapers or bottle openers. And what I thought was really cool too was that it'd been the season before when Austin Matthews had a 60 goal season, and so they had all sorts. I don't know if we got a picture of that, but in one of these cases they had a whole bunch of Austin Matthews like stuff. They had, I always think it's a little cheesy, but they had like the pucks with the melted ice from like the what is that? Scotiabank Arena is what they call it now. I still call it
Yep.
Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
But from that, so yeah, obviously, most folks attending these games are going to be Maple Leafs fans.
Yeah.
So they did have, a good amount of stuff. If you're a Maple Leafs fan and you're taking the family, because this is by far more affordable than Maple Leafs games, which I guess I would have thought more people would be there too, just because I mean we've been to a Leafs game, we know how expensive those are. This is affordable, so all to say they had a lot of cool merch, a lot of cool use of some of those broken sticks. I think we've one of the more creative uses of those I've seen, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. And you can see there was a few pucks to get. Unfortunately, there was no official game puck. This was the puck that I ended up with. So
Same.
nothing too crazy. Yeah, Cody picked out the same one as me. So there's a standard novelty puck with the logo on it. Nothing too crazy. One thing that we did like about this game is that since there wasn't many people there, it was nice to kind of move around the arena and just like get some different views and stuff like that. We started up in the corner and then we moved down to this lower level and checked some things out. So let's see here. So one of the things that actually, I'll save this for a little bit later, but we'll go into the next segment here, which is concessions. So concessions on point. They had a great selection all around the arena, and I was actually surprised too, where they took these sections and they like made them kind of feel like the restaurant, stuff like that. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. I thought a lot of it was just going to be like this, where it's just like, okay, yep, here's your like regular concession booths and stuff like that. But it's kind of cool that they added some character to some of the restaurants that were in there. But I'm gonna play this clip, and I want you to talk about this when it's done, Cody. Let me know your thoughts on this guy. So tell me,
So
Cody, what were your thoughts on the popcorn guy?
So a little context. That was not that clip was not during warm-ups. That was not, before the game. Like that was an intermission. That clip was taken in the middle of play. That's just how empty it was there that night. Like pretty much there'd be pockets of 2 to 3 pockets of people in each section. And so not to be deterred, that popcorn salesman, he tried his darndest. He was going to hit his quotas that night, no matter how full or empty that arena was. And so I think we enjoyed watching him do his diligent work, because he went through the arena every section, with just a very enthusiastic call of popcorn. And
Yep, exactly.
I'm not even joking when he went through the arena row by row to every single fan in that stadium and asked them if they were interested in popcorn.
Yeah,
So, the work ethic was there, the hustle was there. I don't know if the sales were, but not for lack of trying. So, good on him. I hope he ended up, with a decent number of sales that night, but the opportunity was lacking, but that didn't stop him. So,
yeah. I'm assuming with this few amount of people that were there that I'm pretty sure he asked everybody in that arena if they wanted popcorn. I think he asked us like 2 or 3 times,
yeah,
like
he made a
by
few
breath.
laps.
Yeah, he made a few laps, like just Yeah, there were so few people. Like every single period, he was like asking you, just kind of going around the whole arena. So props
Imagine
to the
if
popcorn kid.
him and the Buffalo Conehead paired up; they'd be unstoppable.
Oh my goodness, we need to make that happen. That would be incredible. All right, let's move on. So next thing is atmosphere, and here's something that we witnessed in that section that we moved to. I think it was like second period we moved down there. So as you can hear, there's a little bit of cheering, but you can see in the background there wasn't that many people there. So the atmosphere was definitely lacking at this event, as you can see from the view here. I mean, like Cody said, there's like pockets of people here and there, and but it was. I mean, honestly, I think if we took everybody, it would have probably filled up maybe like one full section from the ice up to the back. Like that was it for people. So it was pretty sad to see that, with them playing Belleville and them not being too far away, but it is what it is. So, do you have any comments, Cody, on the atmosphere of the Marley
Yeah,
fans?
I it's one of those arenas that I feel like, maybe come playoffs or, a bit, well, I guess we're, like a big game where if they can sell it out, I mean, I have no doubt that would be a loud barn. Like it would be it. I hope that we were just there on what ended up being just a bad night, but yeah, it's unfortunately I have to say is probably the calmest and quietest atmosphere of any hockey game I've been to. I think you and I, even just in some of our times wandering NHL practice facilities on like a weekday afternoon, have like wandered into some youth tournaments that were seemed to be a much better atmosphere than that game. So
Yeah,
I do hope it was just you know a coincidence that we were there on a slow night. I mean, it's Toronto. I'd have to believe it was, but yeah, it was. You could it, not much louder than a pin drop most of the game. So
yeah, and it's just hard to believe that you had that kind of turnout at like one of the top leagues in the world. Now, I know you were talking
yeah.
about this with me the other day, but where was it on that in the article that you were reading that
Oh
talked
man.
about where did the AHL actually fall as far as like the ranking from the NHL like down compared to like all the leagues worldwide?
I want to say it was ranked as like the third or fourth, like NHL, SHL. I think they omitted the KHL just due to circumstances. But yeah, it's one of the definitely top 5 leagues in the world, and you know, I feel a little bad. I feel like we kind of take it for granted here in North America just because we have the NHL, where it's a great league. It's literally one step below the NHL. So which, the AHL, it's kind of interesting. We've been to games, kind of all over the continent for the AHL at this point, and every market is different. All the arenas they vary quite a bit too. Um, where I get it, the Marlies, they're sharing a market with the Leafs, so they're not the biggest draw in town. Like for us here, the Grand Rapids games, the AHL affiliate of the Red Wings, they're always well attended. We've been down to Tucson Roadrunners games, and I mean it's a small arena, but it was packed. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's just the AHL is kind of all over the place, I think, from what I've seen, and I don't know. That was just a little bit of a disappointing showing, I guess, for the what they call, the center of the hockey universe. So
Yeah, and it's not like there's a lack of people in
oh,
the Toronto area. I mean, there's millions of
goodness, we
people.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's millions and millions of people. So to have that kind of showing for a game, I mean, I wasn't expecting the place to be like packed to the brim, but
No.
I was expecting a lot more than that. So that kind of leads us into the puck score for the team. So gave him a 9 out of 10 for parking, 9 for tickets, 9 for merch, 7 for concessions, and a 2 for atmosphere, giving them a total of 36. So do you think that this is a fair score to give the Marlies?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the parking was right outside. Like it was. We ended up actually. I don't know if you mentioned it. We ended up getting it for free just because of circumstances and a really nice parking attendant who really liked us. So, I mean, that's not going to hurt their score. Like, yeah, the tickets were great price. I thought the merch, yeah, they had a great selection. I really enjoyed it. Um, I know I got some concessions. I think I might have got some nachos that they were your run of the mill concession nachos, if I remember right. But they were good. And then they're hardworking concession workers who will have seat to seat service. So yeah, I think the only thing really tanking their score obviously was the atmosphere. So maybe someday in the future we'll get an opportunity to go back to the Coca-Cola Coliseum for maybe a better attended game, and we can boost that up to 7, 8, or maybe even a 10 if we're lucky.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is fair for what our experience was. And going back to the parking thing that you mentioned, so the main reason was is because we didn't have cash, and
Mhm.
we just had card, and they're cash only. So in the
Whatever cash
game,
we would have had would have been American too.
yeah. So it's like we couldn't do anything. So she was understandable that and let us in. So shout out to her for doing that. But yeah, if you go back and park in the lot that we talked about, make sure you do have the cash for that.
Yeah, that was right by the soccer stadium there, which they're actually going to be hosting World Cup games at BMO Field there in a couple of years. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure that'll be
well,
more well
there's
attended than the game we went
oh,
to.
for sure. Yeah, exactly. So and then as far as wow slash X Factor, I basically gave them an extra point for the popcorn guy. So
Correct
that's
me if
pretty
I'm
much it.
wrong. I feel like I remember they were, which this is what I love about hockey. The arenas, they're all so unique and different. But if I recall correctly, they had one of those locker room setups where the players would exit the bench. They actually like went up a little ramp, if I remember right, and then I think they went through the concourse to access their locker room. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yep. Yeah. Let me roll this clip, and
Oh, I'm
this doesn't
spoiling
quite
things.
show all of it, but I think it might talk about what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I
then
think that's always cool.
they went out, then they went down like those steps and had that big mat there, so it wasn't like messing up their skates or anything. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I like it when the team goes through the concourse and stuff like that. We've been to a few arenas where they do that. One of which is Saginaw. They do that, which is it's just pretty cool to see the players and cheer them on as they're making their way to the bench. I did notice too. Disregard the typo. I forgot to change the total, so they actually did get a 37 is what their total was, not 40. So if you haven't already, head on over to Instagram. You can follow us over there, and we're putting out some more content this summer. We got a few things planned, and you can also check out some of the recent experiences I've been on there, including the Memorial Cup, where our boys brought it home. That was crazy. That was phenomenal. I'm really glad to be part of that experience, and we'll be talking about that more here in the near future. Mark actually went to a few of the games, so he'll actually be joining us with that. And we are getting closer to the goal of 100. As you can see, there up to 77 arenas worldwide. So we're slowly chipping away at this. If we keep up the pace that we're on, that we were able to maintain this season into next season, we will break the goal. Which when we first started this journey, I thought it was going to take years and years to do this. Like I can't remember what the math was, but it was like 10 years or something like that. I was thinking it was going to take to do this. But it's amazing once you start to jump down the rabbit hole and you find out all these teams that are around, and then new leagues are popping up and new schools are getting teams and new leagues are expanding. It just keeps adding to it. And we're super excited for next season, but we're also really excited for what's coming up at the end of this month. So, Cody, do you want to talk about what we're doing at the end of June?
Yeah, so we'll be heading out to Las Vegas to go to the Sphere for the 2024 NHL draft. So we'll be there for days 1 and 2. I think we're super pumped for that. I know you got to go to the draft last year in Nashville. This will be my first time attending the draft, which I think, being at the Sphere, I don't really know what to expect. I think it's going to be pretty spectacular. It'll be the first live broadcast from the Sphere, also the first sporting event to ever take place at the Sphere. So, I think it'll be really cool for us, having gone to a lot of CHL and different junior hockey events over the last handful of years. A lot of these kids that are going to be, having their dreams come true. We've gotten to see them play, some of them as young as 15, 16. So I'm really excited for that. And just to see all the festivities that go on at the draft.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's, like you said, I did go to the one last year, so it'd be really cool just to see like the differences in what it's going to be like when it's being held at the Sphere versus an actual NHL arena. I know this is like the last year where they're going to have like all the extra personnel and everything attending, so that kind of adds a little bit to it too. So I'm, like you said, I'm pumped as well. It means a lot more, I think, now that you and I have actually started to dive more into junior hockey and college hockey, to where now we're starting to see a lot of players that we've been watching get drafted. Like before, you'd watch a draft and it's like, who are these guys? Like we don't,
The
maybe
top
you
like
hear,
five.
yeah, you hear of a few of them, but now it's like we've heard of guys that are going to get drafted not only in the first round, but the second, third, fourth round. So it's just really cool to see these guys' hard work and dedication to the sport of hockey pay off when they get their name called by their new franchise. So it's a really cool experience. I believe there's still plenty of tickets left. So if you haven't already got your tickets for the draft, do it. It's a great event. Vegas is a great town, and we look forward to seeing you guys. I know a few people have reached out to me on Instagram when we posted a poll on if anybody was going, and a couple people are going. So we're gonna probably meet up with some of the followers out there at the draft. So look forward to seeing you guys out there.
Yeah, if you're going, shoot us a message. If you see us, let it say hi. Like, yeah, it'd be awesome to meet some people out there.
Yeah, it's been really cool recently. Like even at the draft, or not the draft, but the Memorial Cup. I got to meet some followers there and have some conversations with people, and it's really cool to actually like get to know the faces behind the profiles that we see on Instagram and actually talk to these people. There's a lot of interesting people out there, and I'm glad to be part of this hockey community that we're trying to build, and really looking forward to what we got to get caught up on this summer and some other content that we're working on and going to the draft. I I'm almost 100% sure. You never know with us what's going to happen, but I'm pretty much 100% sure. Unless Cody calls me up next week and say, "Hey, tickets for the Stanley Cup Final in Florida are really cheap." He's like, "I'm looking at tickets right now." You
If
know,
anybody wants to make a generous donation as well, if you want to see us at the Stanley Cup Finals.
we'll put Cody's Venmo in the description so
Yeah,
you can or Cash App. I don't know. Do you take Zelle? Does anybody
I'll
use Zelle anymore?
take a traveler's check at this point. If it
Traveler
means
check at
Stanley
that
Cup
point. Okay.
Finals.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that my season is completely over with watching games, and we're already starting to look ahead to next season. We had a lengthy conversation. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and talking about some trips, some that we were thinking about going on, and then some that we might go on instead. So it's exciting, and I'm gearing up for next season already. I mean, going to the Memorial Cup, seeing all the people with all the different jerseys, talking to people from different areas of the country and different fan bases is just like it's already got me amped for next season. I'm gonna have a hard time getting through this summer and missing hockey. I mean, we got a few weeks of the Stanley Cup Finals, and then we have the draft, so we got a little bit more this month. But then the next few months are going to be a little bit of a drag. So I think we'll be able to make it through, Cody. I think it'll work its way out.
I think so. Yeah, it'll be July and August. Hopefully, we'll fly by and we'll be into training camp and preseason soon. So
Yeah, we'll be. I don't know exactly when we're going to release when we're gonna like some of the trips that we are planning on doing for next season. We might wait a little bit closer to the next season starting. I have been noticing that some teams have already started to put their schedules out. I think I got a notification today that this, like the Savannah Ghost Pirates, for example, their schedules out, and some other college. Cody was we were looking at some college stuff. He saw some college schedules that are already released. So we're already starting to kind of pick and poke at what we want to do for next season. If you have any suggestions for us for next year, let us know. You can also go over and check us out on Patreon and GoFundMe if you want to help us out here at Puck My Life with all the traveling. It is not free, so any little bit that you can help out with would be great. So anything else, Cody, about the future, the draft, or the Toronto Marlies before we wrap things up?
Nope, I know it's like I said, it's a little too early to share some of what our plans are next year, but rest assured we'll be coming to a rink near you. So
Exactly. Well, you guys have a great rest of your day. I was going to say evening, but as you can see above me, it's still bright outside. So you guys have a great rest of your day. And just remember, everything we do over here at Puck My Life is for the love of hockey. So we'll see you at the rink.
see ya.